bigger than it seems.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are at Axleboy Offroad, one of the premier off-road builders in the Midwest. We're going to talk to Scott Carline. He's going to show us the facility, some pretty cool builds he's got going on here, and some of the capabilities. So let's jump in.
Yeah, so we built this this LJ. This originally started off as an overland project, and we went out wheeling with him, and we introduced him to rocks. And then it turned into not so much of an overland project. We turned it more into a rock crawler.
Yeah, this one definitely looks rock crawler.
This one is definitely designed for extreme trails. It's also docile enough that you can drive it on the road on a pretty regular basis. We've done a few things that have sacrificed the drivability, such as hydraulic assist steering and a few other things. And kind of what we've decided to do with this client was we built a second overlanding vehicle. So
okay.
If you can't get both worlds, just build two, right?
Sure.
That's my philosophy. This one is completely hand built from the ground up. It's an interesting story because this one got totaled by a semi truck. Okay. And we had to go all the way back to stage one and restart it again. The first time we started off with a stroker motor, 37s. On the second build after the semi truck, we added in about 500 horsepower of LS. We added in a full droopy lines hanging underneath.
So you said LS. Do you guys do complete engine swaps here as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. The engine swaps that we do are typically going to be based off of crate components. We figure if you're spending that kind of money, let's just start off with new.
Right.
And then we don't have to worry about it. So we do a lot of the GM performance. We do Hemi swaps, things like that. And we try to put them in the most factory style way that we can with the least amount of adapter boxes and technology hackers. That way we get a reliable product that acts like it's supposed to be here.
Right.
Under 500 horsepower.
It's pretty clean install too.
Thank you, thank you. Everything that we do on our installs, we try to be as OE-like as we can. On this one, we decided just to rip everything out and start from scratch. So the whole wiring harness and everything is hand built, using products from S-Tech, GM Performance, and others. Biggest problem with one of these is keeping it cool, honestly.
Sure.
That's the hardest thing. And you kind of are stuck with electric fans for size. It's hard to get them to flow enough.
Jeep front end's only so big.
That's right. So we found a lot of things that we had to do on this one, like we had to remote mount the winch solenoid because the airflow that it blocked was enough to cause it to overheat on the highway. Okay. And so we had to do relocation, put it up under the hood. So there's been a little bit of a learning curve on this one.
That's a lot of engine inside of that thing.
It is. It is. If you ever wanted to know how an air locker worked, great air locker display.
So you do all the re-gearing, it lockers, everything.
Yeah, all of that. This piece displays how the compressor works. Okay. And then, you can spin the axle shaft separately. You just flip the switch. It's an air piston that slides over and locks in these teeth, and then you divide the load across both.
Okay. So do you have a preference, or is this kind of whatever your need is to go e-locker versus air locker?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So in my experience, if you want brute strength, I typically go air locker. Okay. I tend to find that the air locker case is built a lot better with harder materials, and we tend to see that they can take the physical abuse. Okay. If you're more of an overlander, exploration, hunting, fishing type rig, then sometimes we'll lean to the e-locker. Our philosophy is kind of this: the ARB probably won't break. The e-locker will probably engage every time you flip a switch. Okay. So you kind of have to pick that and pick which one's more important. Sure. There's nothing wrong with the air locker at all. It's just that it's a complicated system. You have a switch, you have a compressor, you have 30 feet of air lines, you have O-rings, you have pistons, and all these are wear items and they wear out. So while they are reliable and we do use them on a daily basis, we find that the e-lockers are a real simple magnetic selector that pulls over a collar or a slide, and they just work every time.
Okay.
You got 12 volts.
Every tool for the job.
That's right, right. And
So you guys do a little bit of everything here, like we talked about.
we do some restoration work, and it's not limited to Jeeps or Toyotas. Here we have like a late 70s Bronco. This one's extremely low miles. It's been parked in a building most of its life, and been sitting for about 10 years. The owner brought it to us and wanted to make it street worthy. Rebuilt the braking system, steering system, pulled out the rotty carpet, sprayed in some lizard skin floor liner, really dressed it up nice on the inside. And,
So have you seen a big resurgence of the Broncos?
oh, absolutely.
With them bringing out the new Bronco, you probably see a lot more of these coming out of the woods now.
Absolutely, and it's really an interesting time in the classic 4x4 market, because everybody whose parents had one of these things in the 60s and 70s, they're all coming out of the woodwork. They've all reached a point in the time in life where they can afford to get something done, and they're restoring these and putting them back on the road, which is really cool. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Do you ever get into the old, I'll say the original Broncos?
Yeah, the square-bodied
Yes.
ones, yes, we do. They're rare. We don't see a ton. We do have one right now that we did a frame build on. It's getting ready to head out to the body shop. And we also do a little bit of work with Gateway Bronco, which is over in Illinois. They do turnkey new Broncos, brand new, in the square body style with Coyote engines. But they also do some restorations, and we'll rebuild the drivelines for them. So yeah, we are around those quite a bit.
Okay. All right, so we're over here looking at this TJ on the lift here. What are you guys doing to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was an old TJ. It's been sitting for quite a while, and as you can see, actually, if you look down at the axle, you'll see a whole lot of it's rotted out.
Oh yeah.
And even though this Jeep is in amazing shape, it's been kind of sitting in a field for a little bit, and some of the underbody really got hit with cancer. Luckily, most of it was on the axles and control arm areas.
Frame still good?
Yeah, frame was still in pretty good shape. And so what we've done is we've gone through and stripped as much of the frame as we can without removing the tub. Then we've ground it down, treated the rust, and then recoated it.
Okay.
So we put preventative measures in here to try to keep this alive. And then we're fixing up some of the things. The bump stop cups are notorious for rotting out.
Right.
The bump stops collapse. So basically we're just kind of putting this thing back into shape. Make it drive like new
Right, so
again.
you do pretty much everything. It's not just the big 40s. It's
That's correct.
restorations like this, and
33-inch tired TJs all day long. And it's kind of funny to think about, but yeah, now these 2005, 2006s, those are coming in, and they're in need of restoration.
right.
And so we're doing mild resto mod type work, and we're fully capable of doing everything underbody, getting them reliable, replacing the hydraulic systems, the steering systems, repairing the rust,
Right.
repairing frame rust. Even we do tons of that.
Well, here in the Midwest, we salt everything.
We do. French fries, roads, Jeeps, whatever it
Absolutely.
might be. We typically, I'm actually surprised that we don't have a frame repair going on right now. There's normally at least one in the building at all times.
Okay.
We do a lot of Terraflex and Falcon shocks.
All right, so it looks like we got an F-150 here. What are you guys doing to this?
Yeah, so F-150, this one had some front end damage. This one's set up to do a little bit of overlanding.
Okay.
So we replaced the bumper, and we set it up with some Diode Dynamics lights. Obviously, it has all of the lumens. And Diode Dynamics is another local company. They're down based off of Highway 370
Right.
here in St. Charles County. And they're building some great lights that are definitely breaking some records worldwide.
That's a great looking bumper too.
It's a good looking bumper.
Notice it's got all the sensors in it still.
That's correct. Try to keep as much of it working as we can. Keep it operating like factory.
So when a customer brings in a Jeep, how do you work with the client to get them what they want?
Sure. So a lot of times people actually come in, like you said, they've kind of pre-decided what they think they need, and we tend to find that sometimes there's some flaws in that theory. So to just come in and say, I just bought a JKU, I want 40s and 1-tons and long arms. And then our first answer is, oh, okay, that's really great. It sounds like a nice build. How are you going to use your vehicle? What are your expectations?
Right.
Who else is going to drive the vehicle? At Axleboy, we kind of have this theory. We talk about what's street drivable, what's not. And that's a really gray area with most people in the industry. Here's my answer on that. If it's street drivable, you can throw the keys to your neighbor, your mom, your grandma, and not have to give this crazy list of waivers. And I know you've heard this one. Hey, that clunk you're gonna hear when you turn left, no problem. And that is another question. We talk to people all the time, and they say, oh, no. My Jeep drives great. I mean, for a lifted Jeep. Well, wait, hang on. Why did you have to put that waiver in there?
Right.
I mean, either it drives great or it doesn't. And our philosophy is, and we've proven it time and time again, a 40-inch tired rig can drive down the highway with one hand on the steering wheel. If you build it the way that the package we put together, and you use it the way that it was designed to be built.
Right.
And those are the two important things.
Right.
So no one recipe fits every single situation. So it's really important to get into the roots. What is the client going to do? How are they going to use it? What's important? What are their expectations? And then we put together the package that matches.
Build them something usable that they can take out and use the way they thought that they wanted to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice. And this one here's got a nice little header to it.
Absolutely.
Everybody likes the power.
Everybody loves a supercharger. This is a JKU. This one, as you can tell, spends a lot of time back in the brush off-road.
Sure.
It's definitely more of a utility vehicle. And basically this is an overland build. This one's designed to go out in the middle of nowhere for some periods of time. As we add all of that weight to the vehicle, all the camping gear, the racks and everything, you know, sometimes you find the gas pedal is just not quite what it was. So
absolutely.
You definitely, a couple things you can do. Supercharger is a pretty good one. This is a Magnuson. It's very nice, reliable one. We find it doesn't make the most horsepower out of all of the power adders on the market, but we do find it to be the most reliable.
Reliable is good when you're in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. And when it comes down to, you know, the overlander, the off-grid guy, reliability is equally as important as performance. So we tend to feel that this kit is one of the most factory-like kits that you find out there.
We were fortunate to talk to, we were at EJS, and we got to talk to the Magnuson guys, and I was pretty impressed with their information on that.
They really have it nailed down. And kind of like I said, the other companies, we do them too. Sprintex, RIP, ProCharger, Magnuson, those are our go-to brands. We tend to feel that the Magnuson is the best suited for this type of situation.
Right.
If somebody wants the most power, we tend to find that the RIP supercharger makes the highest horsepower. It just happens to be at the higher RPM range. So it kind of depends. This is one of those things, like how are you using your vehicle and where do you want the power?
Right.
Along with that, sometimes cooling system upgrades come along. Mishimoto radiator.
Yeah, well, while you're in there,
try to get a little more stuff going on. And other than that, this one got upgraded with a Gobi rack, and it also has some new lighting. This one has rigid lighting in it.
So you guys do all the racks and tents and everything as well?
Absolutely. Gobi rack, Rhino rack are our two go-tos.
Okay.
The Gobi rack is more of a safari type system that's bounced on the exterior.
Right.
The Rhino rack is a lot more condensed product. It uses internal supports. And again, it kind of depends on what you're trying to do.
Right.
We find the Rhino rack to be a little less obtrusive than the Gobi rack is. Gobi rack is great, but they're all built to order, so if you're going to order one, you better have some time.
Right,
It's an amazing
especially
product.
right now.
It is an amazing product. You mentioned tents. We are actually the only authorized iCamper dealer in St. Louis area, and we are a stocking iCamper dealer, and we've got them set up on display that you can crawl in and out of and check them out.
What are you guys doing to this one?
Yeah, so this F350 here, we're doing coilovers. We basically have a Fox coilover with an iBox spring, and we're pairing that with some BDS lift components, brackets, and whatnot. This is just going to be a nice looking, nice handling F350.
Sure.
Just doing some upgrades, make it ride a little smoother, a little more sport feel, a little more control. When we start using the higher end Fox components with the adjustable factory race series systems, you can dial in the ride quality and get what you want, which is really, really nice. So obviously the coilover gives us a lot of adjustability. Plus, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with the cool factor.
Sure, absolutely. Now, do you guys do a lot of like tow rigs and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is quite often that we'll build the toy, and then we'll build the tow rig next.
Okay.
And so, you know, we'll do suspension upgrades, airbags, additional cooling upgrades, different wheel and tire packages, you name it.
You're spending a lot of time in these things. You want to be comfortable and capable.
Absolutely. So a lot of times when people are towing heavier campers and things behind the rig, we'll come back in, we'll put larger sway bars in.
Okay.
We might put airbag, we might put heavier springs in, all depending on the application and the usage. Brake upgrades, which is also worth mentioning that quite often we'll do flat tow systems where when people are going to flat tow behind an RV, we'll set the towed vehicle up with auxiliary braking, tow bar, lighting, and whatnot. Okay,
and show them how to use a flat tow.
Absolutely.
We've all seen the video of the tow vehicle that was left in gear and the whole floor was blowing out of it.
Yes, we have seen this firsthand, and it's a mess. So yeah, we definitely teach how to use it. We like to use the Roadmaster products, and then we use the Ready Brute Elite system as well. So those are the two tow bar systems and braking systems we use.
Okay. Then I noticed you got a Jimmy over here.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different too. We're just doing a little bit of service work on this restored Jimmy. Really nice, clean one.
You don't see many of these left anymore.
Oh no, not at all. And yeah, on this one we just had a sheared leaf spring pin and a couple of suspension components we're doing.
Okay.
We didn't do it this round, but he had a set of 2 doors he bought, and he kind of wanted a tailgate to match the same spirit. So I guess about a year ago maybe we built the tailgate to match and complement what was going on.
Okay.
It's a simple design, but we wanted to match the lines of the doors.
Right, so you guys do all the custom fab work as well.
Yeah, and it's super basic design. It's got 2 pull pins. It hinges down like a regular tailgate. It's got the factory tailgate cables, so it stays down. You can sit on it, do whatever. These little power units. We like to call these solar generators or portable power units. Southwire is our brand of choice. The lithium. It has industry-specific charging. It's got a couple of additional ways. Most of your portable power products, they can only charge via one method.
Okay.
With the Southwire, we can combine these methods and we can rapid charge. We can charge solar. We can charge through the high-power USB-C. The rapid charge, we can do off the 12 volts. We can do off the plug-in adapter. We can combine that. This is really cool because it's just like a little bag. And you know, it's a nice durable bag that protects it. It's got zipper pouch that you have all your charging cables and adapters in for all the different things you would want to do. Okay. So it kind of is definitely one of those things that you can have in the back of your rig. And then it just kind of opens up.
No, there's the panel.
And then it's got little Ziploc stands. You can set it out at your campsite.
Okay.
And charge it back up. It doesn't have to go to a Southwire. It can charge anything. It happens to charge up this little one just great.
So if that thing's totally dead, roughly how long does it take for the panels to charge that?
4 or 5 hours in the sun.
Oh, really?
For the little one. Yeah, it's a little, you know, the bigger one is obviously a lot more. But for the little one, it's a 100-watt panel.
So this is one I see all the time to and from. You don't see many of these old Internationals left anymore.
No. We've got a few of the restored ones that we do here that we service and work on regularly. This one obviously has already had the body and the paint work done, and now what's going on is we're doing driveline, undercarriage, suspension system, and getting that all back into shape.
Right.
Right now the engine's out at the machine shop. Once that gets back, we'll prep the firewall and the frame, get everything put back together, and get this thing on the road.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sick build when it's all done.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. Yeah, so we are the only iCamper dealer in the St. Louis area. We are stocking. We do have these ready to go, so you just got to swing by. So a couple of cool features about the iCamper. This is the SkyCamp. It's hard shell. It does have a great clamping system. Most of the tents that we see mount, they mount with a bracket with like 4 bolts on it, and then you've got 4 bolts on each corner that you gotta tighten. This uses a clamping system, and so you have like an Allen tool or a hex head tool that goes in there, and then it just tightens those 2 clamps. They come in and squeeze on your cross rail, and then that's it.
Yeah, so it tightens right through here, basically.
Yeah, and so it's like a T-slot.
Right.
The whole assembly slides in, and then these 2 pieces, these 2 clamps, they come together when you turn that hex head, and then they clamp on the rail.
Slick.
And then it's kind of undercut like that, so then it's held solid.
Nice.
So you know, getting under there with wrenches and turning a little bit at a time, that's all gone now. This makes it so much easier.
Right, so you come home for the weekend, take it off if you want to real quick.
Right.
And you get your everyday rig back.
Absolutely, and they're super easy to just. Everything about the iCamper is to make it as simple as you can. So they set up in about a minute. So I'll demo that real quick.
Oh, that'd be great.
So they do have keys. They are individual and they are unique. So everybody with an iCamper can't get into your tent. You just flip the latches down, and then you just push up.
When that comes down, you're good to go.
Pretty much, yeah. Like you're pretty well set at this point. Getting the angle of the ladder is probably the trickiest part.
Sure.
Once we're here, it's really just a matter of popping in 2 more poles.
The fly supports?
Yep. Which is really pretty simple. We just pop them in and that's it.
There you go.
We're in. We're camping. Grab the mattress, slide it back in. It's a lot bigger than it seems.
So is that like an air or is that a foam?
It's a foam. And there are upgrades available for that, but that one is the stock one is surprisingly
There's a lot of room in that thing too.
Yeah, it's great.
It almost looks like a queen size bed almost.
I think it is. This is considered a 4-person. Like most camping things, 4 people means 2 people and a dog, I think.
Correct.
Something like that.
Absolutely.
We do have pulls for the side windows and the rain flies.
That's a nice looking setup. Very compact.
Very. And everything, they've thought of everything in terms of setup and put down. So setting up is hard enough on most rooftop tents. Putting away is usually a nightmare. But let me show you how this works going back together.
Okay.
Amazing. So we pull our tension rods.
That was an LS, by the way.
when I mentioned that they thought of everything, it's pretty serious. One of the biggest things that happens when we close up our tents, rooftop tents, is they billow out.
Right, and you're stuck going around the tent nonstop trying to stuff it in as you close it.
I'm a very impatient man, so were they apparently. They give you these, you pull, you pull. You should probably look and just make sure that you don't have a whole lot to fight with. I'm tucking it in. Once the last little bit's in, take our straps.
It's pretty quick.
Toss them up in there, latch it and lock it, and we're done. One of the biggest drawbacks to the rooftop tents is if you're mobile and you're moving around.
Right.
Because you don't have that home base. When you go out to explore, you got to break everything down again. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, what did that take us, like a minute and a half?
Right, and then especially if you're in inclement weather.
Yep.
You got to try to pull all this stuff down.
Yeah, literally just a minute or two.
Right, and I can definitely see in extreme cold weathers, that hard shell, you're gonna try to scoop the snow off of it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And there's no fighting. There's no fighting getting that off. There's also insulation packages available for them, bedding, sleeping systems, whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's a nice looking tent.
Great product.
You guys also do a lot of stuff like one-on-one classes and stuff. I've seen you at some of the local events, S'more, Moonlight Racing, a few others.
Absolutely. We really think that education is a huge part. We find so often that people buy a new rig, they want to get out there with their family, but they're nervous. They don't really know where to go, how to go. They're worried about getting into trouble, things like that. And so quite often we'll do educational sessions. Usually we'll do them with in conjunction with a club or a local off-road park, where we'll come in and we'll actually talk about off-roading, the vehicles, the parts, the pieces, the tools, the recovery gear, and then the practical application. And then we'll typically do a short guided event after that and let them kind of get the feel of what it's going to be like while they have somebody on hand dedicated to them, showing them how to drive over an obstacle. And I think that really helps break the ice and gives people a sure-footed start to begin the experience. Yes. I have never met a person at all who realized that their off-road vehicle could do what we showed them it could do. Most of the time, you don't need a crazy $100,000 rig to go enjoy some trails.
Not that they're not fun.
Not that they're not fun. I mean, personally, everything needs a V8, but you don't have to have that to have a good time. You can take a stock Jeep and you can go out and you can have a blast, and you'll be surprised at what it will do, and you'll be surprised at the amount of fun you can have with just a stock Jeep.
Right. All right, so you guys need anything off-road, anything overland, anything four-wheel drive, come see Scott, Axleboy.
Absolutely.
And they're more than capable of taking care of you.
Appreciate
Scott,
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All of Axleboy's contact info and social media will be in the descriptions. Please contact them. They do phenomenal work. I'll see you in the next video that pops up here. Thanks for viewing.